All right, are you heading to Tahoe, maybe relocating or taking a trip up here? Well, I'm gonna go over today some of my favorite tips, the things that I think you need to know before heading on up to Tahoe, driving in the snow, being prepared if there's going to be a winter storm. Everything that you need to know before heading up to the Tahoe during the winter season is going to be in this video. So you're going to want to stay tuned and make sure to stay till the end because I've got some bonus tips. If you're staying a few nights, trust me, you're going to want to know these little tips. So stay till the end to check them out. But let's get to this video, all the tips you need to know about heading on up here to Tahoe in the snow. All right, so let's just say, first off, if you are going into a storm or you know there's gonna be kind of like rocky weather and the roads are gonna be snowy, my number one tip is just don't go. Because if it's gonna be kind of crazy weather, it's just gonna get hairy and it's not gonna be fun. It's just not advisable. It's advisable to stay off the roads when it's snowy and a winter storm is coming. So we were just up there in the winter storm. We weren't driving up. We actually drove up the day before, which was all rainy, which I can totally maneuver in the rain, but I have realized snow is not my thing. And trust me, I've been in a lot of different snowstorms in my life because I'm an avid skier and I love the snow. So I've definitely been in my fair share of hairy, crazy, scary situations, and I've made it out alive, thank God. But if you know you're going to be going up on a day where it is a winter storm, my advice to you is do not go. Period, end of story, don't go. Because it is just crazy. Like the snow is crazy. It's crazy, it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. And if you don't have a 4-wheel drive or some massive vehicle with massive like snow tires, it's going to be very, very scary. So that is my pro tip number one. Do not go if it's gonna be a winter storm and hairy, hairy weather with a lot of snow, okay? That's pro tip number uno. Pro tip number two is if you are going, it's, decent clear skies, maybe there's a little bit of snow, whatever, it's not the worst case scenario, but it's like in the middle of best case and worst case. Well, my pro tip number two is you definitely want to make sure you have anti-freeze windshield wiper fluid because it's going to freeze if there's snow. The fluid is going to freeze in your engine, okay? And unless you have anti-freeze windshield wiper fluid, you're going to be screwed, okay? Just trust me on this because what will happen, and you should clear out all of your windshield wiper fluid that freezes. Because I totally have this, and I know this, but I forgot it this time. So my boyfriend got me anti-freeze windshield wiper fluid, and he put in half. We kind of tried to drain it as much as possible. We put in half, so at least we had some kind of fluid coming through, because it's gonna take a little bit of time for your car to warm up, to get it warm, to kind of defrost it. And I tell you right now, if you are on the roads, what's gonna happen, the freeways are gonna be super clear because they've got the tractors going through and clearing the snow, but you're gonna be behind a car and it's gonna be kicking up dirt and like you're gonna not be able to see anything. And I've totally been in situations where I've literally had to pour water on my windshield to like clear. It's so bad. I was a teenager, I was younger, now I know better, but like get the anti-freeze windshield wiper fluid so you never have that issue. When the snow comes, clear the little like sprayers so you make sure everything works. Like I would even do like a little point check. I know it sounds so, my father would be so proud of me because he was like 101st Airborne. We always did the military point checks. Like it was like crazy going into war whenever we did anything with him. But like I would do little checks like that to make sure the windshield wipers actually are spraying fluid and that they work in the back and the front. Because I promise you, if there is snow on the ground, there's gonna be dirt and it's gonna spray as soon as you get near a car, anywhere, it's gonna spray onto your windshield and you're gonna not be able to see, and that is some scary shit. So don't mess around with this. Get the anti-freeze windshield wiper fluid and make sure you check it before you go on the road. And I would like, honestly, if you're gonna be there for a couple days, like we always go for like, a few days or a week. So it's like check and like get rid of all that old fluid that is not non-freezable or whatever, that freezes. So get rid of it so you can see, because like you just want that visibility, I promise you. It can be so, I'm such a chicken when it comes to driving in the snow. It can be so stressful. So that is my pro tip number 2. Number 3, all of these are such good tips. Like, you're gonna be so glad you watched this video, because I'm telling you, it's gonna totally save you heartache. You're gonna feel so prepared. You're just gonna be like in good hands, okay? Just listen to all these tips and do them. So number 3 is make sure you have a full tank of gas, at least a half tank, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to heat your car. And if you're like one of those erratic, crazy people, which I have totally been, my whole life run out of gas one time, but I've done it, so I can completely relate to people that do that. So do not do this in the snow, because what you have to do, if you're going up, whatever, you have gas, but if you're like staying overnight somewhere and you're gonna hit the ski slopes, whatever, and there was a dumping of snow, whatever it is, if it's cold out there and there's snow, you need to heat your car up. So if you don't have gas, you're not gonna be able to heat your car up. And if you forget and didn't get all that windshield wiper fluid out, I mean, you're gonna have to run the car for a little bit, drive it around, heat it up until you can freaking like see. So make sure you have enough gas, because you're gonna need to be able to heat that car up, get it warmed so it could defrost everything, okay? So that's pro tip number 3. Number 4, we are talking worst case scenario here. We wanna have you prepared just in case. I know if you have 4-wheel drive, you can drive in the snow. It's not a big deal, but even if you do and you like are in snow, it could get kind of hairy. So I always say carry chains in the car, because you just never know when you're gonna need them. You could like come into a blizzard and your 4-wheel drive is like ridiculous. It doesn't even mean anything. So you need that extra traction to get through the snow. Like literally, I was in Vail, Colorado with my sister. We had a Honda Civic car, and it was like the worst storm of the century came through, and we had to come up this hill and then go down. I mean, people with 4-wheel drives, it was like dumping like a foot within an hour. It was so much snow. And we were skidding all over, and I had like my skinny black jeans on with my white down jacket with the fur hood, pushing the car, trying to get it out. And this guy saved us. Oh my God, he saved us. It was like amazing. It was the craziest story. It was the scariest situation I've ever been in. Well, there's one other scary situation, but long story short, even if you have 4-wheel drive, you never know what's gonna happen. Keep the chains in the car just to be safe, just to have that extra traction, okay? And that is pro tip number 4. Pro tip number 5, tailgating onto number 4 with chains. So if you come into the worst case scenario, which we don't want to ever happen, but it can happen, you need to have protectant gear to be able to put those chains on. Now, I know my boyfriend said it to me going out there, because I was driving with our son and we were alone. So he's like, I want you to have the chains. You know, if you have to like put them on, there are gonna be guys on the road that'll put it on for you. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So no, don't trust that. But yes, there usually are. I mean, if it's really bad and you get caught in a storm, there are usually people that will go and put them on for you. But like, I would say watch a YouTube video on your car to see how to put them on. And you have to have, this is my tip, you have to have gear that will protect you, because you're gonna be in the middle of the snow. It's just like the rain, and sometimes it's really wet snow. So it could be like slushy, wet snow. So you are gonna get soaked, okay? Or you're going to get snowed on because it's snowy. So you're gonna need gloves. You're gonna need, I mean, it really would be good to have like snow pants or like a rain slicker, you know, something to protect you from the snow and keep your hands warm. I mean, sometimes you won't have to like, I mean, you could probably get away without gloves, but it's a good idea to have them. So I would just have like a little pack with your chains and your like protectant rubber gear to keep you from getting totally just disgusting and having to go back in your car. Maybe even bring a towel. I usually keep a towel in my car just to be safe, like a microfiber towel, like a big one, like for the beach or something, so you can just wipe off. But it's just stuff to know, because like I said, we were going into like, you know, incline, and there's a little hill, and on the hill near North Star, there was a guy, because it started to kind of snow and get a little slushy and hairy, and he was like waving cars by like this. He would just go like this, or he would wave you by, because with me, he went like this, and I said, yes, because that means 4-wheel drive. So he said, you know, go on through. But like people that don't have 4-wheel drive, you have to stop, and there's no guys on the side of the street. There was no guys on the side of the street for those people putting their chains on. So these are just things I'm telling you, if you listen to this video and you have them, you're gonna freaking wanna hug me and thank me, because you're not gonna get totally just a mess. I mean, somehow it always works out. Like, I've never had to do that, but I don't know. I have like angels. I have a lot of people that have passed in my life. So like they're angels in heaven watching over me. So I'm a little more good juju than the average person. But that is number 5, is you've got to bring protective gear to be able to protect you from the elements when you put your chains on. I mean, I would even go as far as to like get like some kind of rubber like garbage bag so you could lay on it if you needed to and not get so dirty. But if you have the rubber gear, you don't need that, but just something to notate. Pro tip number 6 is have microfiber towels like I mentioned before. So I didn't know this until I was in the car with my cousin this weekend, and I was like, oh, that's such a good idea what you guys have. So he had microfiber, little like hand towels, because what happens is the snow dumps on your car, and then you open your window, and then it just dumps straight into your car. So like if you're like me, I have like wet wipes and then Kleenex and stuff. And so the wet wipes, because I have a little guy, the wet wipes are a great idea unless you're in freezing weather, because if you're in freezing weather, anything that's water will freeze, right? So the wet wipes were frozen, so they were useless to me. The Kleenex, my Kleenex though works, but my cousin, you know, he actually went to Ace and bought microfiber towels because he's like a military man and super smart like my dad. And he would wipe everything down. And then when we couldn't get the windshield to defog, they just wiped it down with the microfiber towel, right? Which another good thing to have, the microfiber towel can also act as a protectant to get off snow, right? So it's not scratching your car like a brush or whatever, but it's like it adds a little protectant, but helps you get off that snow. Pro tip number 6 is to have microfiber towels in the car. Pro tip number 7, tailgating onto the microfiber towels, having gloves and like a snow brush, right? So having a snow brush is really good, and you can take that microfiber towel and use it to dust off all the snow on like the windshield or on the top of your car, because if you're overnight, you know, in Tahoe and it's dumped like 2+ feet, you're gonna have 2 feet of snow on the top of your car. Now that's fine, but it's really good to try and get rid of that snow, because what's gonna happen is as the car heats up, the snow's either gonna go forward and go all the way down your windshield when you brake, and then you're gonna have to frantically put the windshield wipers on to be able to see, or it's gonna fly off the back and hit cars behind you. We'll go into more tips down the road, but the distance between the cars and stuff, it's always a good idea to get rid of the snow on your car, because it just can create a hazard and it's good for you. So having the microfiber towels, having that snow brush is great. Then you can use those little paper clips easily, but they're little clamps that you can clamp the microfiber towel onto that snow brush. Or if you live like we do in Incline, and you have a leaf blower, which we do, you can also, pro tip, is use a leaf blower to blow all that snow off. If it's like a fresh snow, like a powder, it pretty much takes it off. It's really easy compared to all the other ways. But if you don't have that, you know, like the brush is good to have. So I'll maybe get that before you go with along with your rubber suit and your chains and your microfiber towels, because those things will all help you when just trying to remove the snow. And you don't want to like scratch your car with that brush, because it's going to really scratch it and you're going to be pissed when you look at it in the sun when there's no snow. That is my pro tip number 7. Have gloves, a microfiber towel, and a little brush to brush that snow off and get rid of all of it. And if you have a blower, like a leaf blower, you could just blow it all off. It's really easy and it works like a charm. Pro tip number 8. And now I know this is a little funny, but like I just thought it would be a handy kind of thing to have. We live in Tahoe, so we have a shovel, very easily accessible. But like if you're at a rental and you just got snowed in and you don't have any kind of tool or device other than your feet to like kick the snow around, it would be really helpful if you had like some type of shovel or device to like get rid of some of that snow. Even if it's like one of the plastic sand toys, like I have a sand toy for my son from Costco, it's like got a shovel. And whenever we are at the beach, it's like that shovel is like a friggin' it's like, don't touch the shovel. Everyone has their eye on that shovel because it's such a great little thing to help build sandcastles. So something even like that, like a portable one, a small one, just to help you kind of dig the tires out, because you'll have to like, if you don't back in, you're going to have to like dig out the tires. And sometimes the snow plows will come and push the snow up in front of your tires. So it's just harder. You know, it makes it easier to drive once you get on the road, but if you're parked, it's like a pain in the ass. So have like some type of little mini shovel or like some kind of a device that would turn to make a big shovel. I'm sure the house, if you stayed at a house, it would have something along those lines. So it's just handy to have. Pro tip number 9 is, this kind of goes in with checking the windshield wipers and everything. Just make sure your tires are not bald and have a good grip on them, right? It's just really essential. It's just smart in coming up to Tahoe and having these kind of things, because you can't go up there with bald tires and expect to like be safe. It's just not, it's not smart. So make sure you have some good tread and traction on those tires. And again, you've got the chains, So worst case scenario, you put those suckers on. But something to note, like your little point check, make sure that everything is all good. And I know I need to do this stuff too, but I usually try and get in for a tire appointment just to make sure we're all set and stuff, usually before I go or like a couple months before. Pro tip number 10, I'm gonna kind of clump these into 10. It's just kind of driving precautions and being a safe driver in the snow. So I'm a chicken. I'm like a grandma, Lola, whatever you want to call it, Filipinos. I drive slow. I'm a nervous Nelly, like when it comes to driving in funky elements. As far as like, I just drive slow in general because I like to be safe. So in the snow, you're gonna wanna be extra cautious. You're gonna wanna drive slower. If it's 40, you're gonna wanna drive 30, 25, whatever. I might even drive. I don't know, if you can, it's just sometimes it's scary because like there's ice on the ground, there's bumpy snow, like the freeways are gonna be paved, you're gonna be good, smooth sailing there. But when you come to like different roads or like less frequently traveled freeways, it's not gonna be as paved and like cleared out, you know? So there's gonna be snow, but there'll be spots that aren't snowy. So it's like, just drive slower than usual, okay? And then the other thing is you wanna give yourself ample room behind a car, right? Because like, you just never know. Somebody could slip, somebody could get high ice, they could like, you know, you just wanna give yourself at least 2 car distance away to like give your time to react, right? Because you could be on ice and then you freaking slam on your brakes and you're sliding. It's just, it could really be a mess. I mean, I was watching my boyfriend back into the parking lot and he almost slid into my car. Oh my God, it was like so, like, I was like freaking out. It was so bad. And that's just parking, you know, because the snow and the traction, the tire skid, it's just like, you just can never be too safe, okay? So always err on the side of caution when driving and just go slower and just take it easy. And like, you know, if jerks want to go around you, let them freaking risk their life and crashing their car and go around you. Like, that's my whole thing. Like, I'm not trying to freaking impress anyone. I'm just trying to be a safe driver and make sure my passengers are safe. Now, on hills, like with snow, you want to keep the momentum. It's not good to stop. So we were coming back from Tahoe. It was when my son was first born. We had all the kids in the car. My boyfriend was driving and we were on the incline and we found out we were the last car that they let through to go down the hill. I think it was in 50. It was like near South Lake. There was a hill. We were the last car to go through. And what happened was we were keeping our distance and he stopped. He kind of slowed down and stopped. And that made, oh my God, it was so scary. We were on a hill, so we stopped, which was not a good thing. Momentum is always better, like even if it's super slow, than stopping, right? But he was giving himself room. And what happened is we slid across the freaking other direction. Thankfully, there was nobody coming our way because they kind of closed the highways because it was just got really bad. We slid all the way to the opposite side of the freeway. And on the opposite side of the freeway was an embankment and a bar to kind of stop the cars. And then it was just a cliff. So like if we didn't have that bar there, we would have been done. And then we got stuck and it was a mess and he had to dig us out because we didn't have a shovel, but thank God he did it and we were all safe and sound and we're here alive giving you these tips. So praise the Lord. So momentum is your friend when you're driving in the snow. So even if it's slow, momentum, it's okay. Like just keep going because stopping, unless you're at a stop sign, you have to stop, fine. It's no big deal, like you want to stop. But like if you're on a hill, try not to. Just try and go real slow. Give yourself that room in between the car in front of you and your car, and just keep that momentum going if possible. All right, so those are the kind of driving safety tips. That is number 10. Things to consider while driving. My bonus tips, number 11 and 12. So number 11 bonus tip, which is like a little tiny pro tip that to stay to the end, this is a good one. You'll thank me when you do this. And I'll be honest, I didn't do it, but it all depends on, it's a good idea to do, okay? It depends on where you're parking and the angle and all that, but you're gonna wanna back your car into the spot that you're gonna be parking in. So the reason you want to back it in, if possible, if it's too scary and you're freaked out, don't do it. I'm like a chicken, so I didn't do it. My boyfriend did, and it just makes it easier for you. The reason you want to back in, there's a couple reasons. The snow plowers will come through and they will push all of the snow so people can drive easily, right? So they're our friends, they want to do that, but when they do that, they push the snow into like usually the driveway spots, right? Because they're coming in on the main road, and that's what they're doing, they're clearing the main road. So if you back your car into the parking spot, then you can not only like push through the snow easier, you're not like turning around and like trying to figure out maneuver, and then you got all the snow everywhere. You've got your windshield clear, you see directly like, okay, I'm just gonna take a quick shot out. Much easier. Plus, you know, it's kind of like you see the kids around you, their kids playing in the snow. It's just like visibility is just better. So always, if you can, try and back in to the parking spot so you can just easily shoot out and you don't have to really dig as much. Okay, now pro tip number, let's see how I do this, 12 is number 12. The bonus pro tip is to overnight, if you know it's gonna snow, it's gonna be cold, whatever, put those windshield wipers up. So it will just make your life easier. It won't freeze over. The windshield wipers, you'll be thankful that you did this. So always put those suckers up if it looks like it's going to be really cold and snowy and freezing, just to make your life easier. Now below this video, I'm going to put another link to another video where I learned a couple of these cool tips. He has even more tips for you, which I thought were good because you have to think about your windshield freezing over. Usually you just put the defroster on, but he has a couple cool tips on how to do that pretty easily and what not to do to prevent your car from freezing and that door from freezing over. We had some issues with it, but I feel like if you just kind of clear out the snow and like kind of yank on it, you're okay. Little couple tips down there. Go check out that video too, but I think this video should give you a great amount of information if you're nervous coming up to Tahoe, to be prepared and to drive in the snow in a safe manner and just make everybody else feel at ease when you're driving as well as yourself. I hope it gave you some value. And make sure to subscribe, click the like button, and have so much fun when you come to Tahoe, and be safe. Don't be that jerk that goes around people and is totally unsafe and dangerous, because you know what? We don't like people like you. So I might be a chicken, but I come prepared, and I hope this video helps you and makes you feel a little bit more at ease. And we hope to help you find a place in Tahoe and let you know all about what's so great about this area. We're happy to help. Reach out if you want to relocate to the Lake Tahoe area. We got you covered. And if you have questions, make sure to put them down below. Thanks guys for hanging out, and safe travels out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.